The first time my roommate called me her boyfriend. I sat there with a mouthful of mashed potatoes, while her father stared at me like he was weighing a friendly handshake against a full background check. I had been told the family dinner might feel a bit much. No one warned me I was about to jump from guy who pays half the Wi-Fi straight into future son-in-law. My name is Owen Miller. Back then I was 29, working as a junior architect in Portland. I lived in a simple two-bedroom place above a bakery that filled the whole apartment with the warm smell of cinnamon each morning. Life was steady, good coffee, clean clothes, and a dating past so quiet my mom had started saying, "When you're ready," like I was healing from some big wreck. My roommate Claire Bennett was 28 and a nurse. Her laugh could turn a rough day around in a heartbeat. She kept too many houseplants, labeled every leftover like a guard on duty, and sang cheerfully off-key in the kitchen when she thought I wasn't listening. I never told her I sometimes slipped one earbud out just to hear her. That was the tricky thing about Claire. She made living together feel easy in all the risky ways. She remembered exactly how I liked my coffee. She always knocked twice before coming into a room. Once she stayed up until 2 in the morning helping me finish a big presentation model, her hair twisted up messily, glue on her thumb. Wearing my old college sweatshirt because she said it was softer, and she felt emotionally attached to cotton. I liked her, of course I did, I wasn't blind. But we had clear rules. No dating roommates, no messing up the lease, and no staring too long when she wandered into the kitchen in fuzzy socks saying, "Don't look at me before I've had caffeine." So when she leaned against my doorframe one Thursday afternoon and said she needed a favor, I should have pretended to be sick. Instead, I glanced up from my laptop. If this is about moving a couch, I've suddenly gone against all furniture on spiritual grounds. She smiled, though it didn't quite light up her eyes. Claire had one of those faces people trusted right away, so it was easy to miss the small signs when she felt nervous. How her fingers played with the silver ring on her thumb. Or how she tucked her hair behind her ear twice instead of once. "My sister's coming into town," she said. "My parents are doing the big family dinner. I told them I might bring someone." She paused. "You might bring someone, right?" "And you're someone. You're very someone," I replied. "That might be the nicest thing anyone's ever said to me." She rolled her eyes, but the real smile broke through, quick and bright. It hit me somewhere in the chest. I should have asked more questions, a grown man would have. But I liked making Claire smile, so I just asked, "Why me?" Her eyes flicked away for a moment. "Because you're normal, that is clearly not true. Because you're kind," she said more gently. "And because when my mom corners you about your future plans, you won't freak out and say you're joining a monastery. I make no promises." She laughed, then stepped into my room without knocking. That told me something was really bothering her. Claire always respected personal space like it was a sacred rule. She sat on the edge of my bed close enough that I caught the fresh citrus scent of her shampoo. "My ex will be there," she added. The air felt heavier. "Ryan," she nodded. I only knew the basics. College boyfriend, family loved him, smile like a poster boy but shallow as a spoon. Claire never spoke badly about him, which said plenty. "He's friends with my brother-in-law, he's in town, and mom thinks it'll be nice for everyone to catch up." "Nice," I echoed. "She also thinks I should stop being so picky." I closed my laptop. Claire noticed and her eyes softened. "I'm not asking you to lie, not exactly, just come with me, sit next to me. Make it less terrible." 100 smart reasons to say no ran through my head, our shared apartment, our friendship, the careful line I kept between what I wanted and what I let myself have. But Claire sat there twisting her ring, and all I could think was that if her family had made her feel hard to love for years, I wanted to stand beside her and show them different. "Okay," I said. Her head lifted. "Yeah, okay, but if your mom asks about my 5-year plan, I'm telling her I plan to become mysterious." Claire's shoulders relaxed with relief. She reached over and squeezed my hand. It lasted 2 seconds longer than normal, long enough for both of us to feel it. She let go first. "Thank you, Owen," she said, her voice suddenly serious. That Saturday, she stepped out of her room in a soft green dress I'd never seen before. I stood in the kitchen fighting with my tie. When I looked up, any joke I had ready vanished. The dress was simple, knee-length, nothing loud, but on Claire it made the whole apartment feel underdressed. She paused when she saw me staring. "What, nothing?" That was not a nothing face. It was an architect face. I was appreciating good structure. She narrowed her eyes, then walked over like she refused to let me off the hook. "Your tie is crooked." I was going for approachable. "You were going for strangled." She stepped close, took the tie in both hands and fixed it with careful focus. Her fingers brushed my collar, knuckles lightly touching my throat. You clean up well, she said, not meeting my eyes. So do you. I always clean up well. You do, I answered. That made her look up. The apartment was quiet except for distant traffic and the bakery closing downstairs. We stood so close I could see the tiny gold flecks in her hazel eyes, close enough that if one of us leaned in, the lease would be the least of our worries. Then her phone buzzed. She stepped back quickly. My mom, she said, reading the screen, her smile faded. Ryan is already there. She took a breath, squared her shoulders, and put the phone away. Ready? No, I said. But I'm coming anyway. Her hand found mine by the door. This time she didn't let go quickly. At her parents' house, the windows glowed warmly against the evening light. It was the kind of place where people said grace before quietly judging your job. Big porch, perfect wreath, two shiny cars in the driveway. Claire paused on the walkway. You don't have to do this. I'm already wearing the tie. That's your reason. No. You are? Her eyes searched my face. And for a moment her nerves softened into something warmer, something that made me wonder if I wasn't the only one pretending the roommate rules were enough. Then the front door opened. A woman with Claire's eyes and a sharper smile called out, "There she is." Inside, the house smelled of roast chicken and nice candles. Her mother hugged Claire first, then looked me over with cheerful sharpness. "And this must be Owen." "Yes," Claire said. "Mom, this is Owen." Her father shook my hand firmly. "Mark Bennett, Owen Miller, nice to meet you, sir." Ryan stood by the fireplace in a navy sweater, holding red wine like he belonged in a magazine. He smiled at Claire with too much ease. "Claire, you look beautiful." Her hand tightened around mine. Every face in the room turned toward our joined hands. Her mother blinked. Ryan's smile grew sharper. And Claire, my plant-loving, leftover labeling, off-key singing roommate, lifted her chin like she was stepping off a cliff. "This is my boyfriend," she said. "Owen, there are sentences that change a whole room." This one landed like dropped silverware on marble. Her mother's smile froze, then melted into something delighted and full of questions. "Boyfriend?" Ryan took a slow sip of wine. Her father glanced at our hands, then at me as if my handshake had hidden big news. I could have corrected her. Every sensible part of me wanted to say we were just roommates and I was there as emotional support. But Claire's thumb moved gently across the back of my hand, not begging, just quietly asking. So I smiled at her mother and said, "It's nice to finally meet you." Claire's fingers tightened again, this time more like a silent thank you. "Well," her mother said, recovering fast. "This is a surprise. A good one, I hope," I replied. Claire shot me a look that clearly said I was enjoying this too much. My look back said she had started it, girlfriend. Her father cleared his throat. "How long has this been going on?" Claire opened her mouth, but I answered first. "Long enough to know she steals the blanket during movies and pretends she doesn't." Claire turned pink. That was the first small lie of the night. We had watched movies together. She did steal the blanket, and I had spent hours pretending not to notice her shoulder against mine. The boyfriend label was still new. Her mother pressed both hands to her chest. "You two watch movies together. We live together, Mom," Claire said. The room went quiet again. Ryan coughed into his wine. I looked down at Claire. "We were going to ease them into that part." Her mouth twitched. "You were? I had a whole plan with bread rolls and careful timing." And there it was, her laugh, small, surprised, and real. It loosened something tight in my chest. Dinner started with the feel of a gentle trial. Claire's sister Megan watched us openly curious. Her husband asked about sports, and I managed by naming a few teams and hoping they were real. Mrs. Bennett asked questions in a voice so sweet it should have carried a warning. "So Owen," she said while passing the carrots, "what do you do?" "I'm an architect." "An architect," she repeated, approving a little despite herself. "How interesting. Mostly I draw bathrooms that other people make less expensive." Claire snorted into her water. Ryan smiled. "That firm downtown, right? Claire mentioned you once." "Once." I should not have been pleased by that. I was pleased enough to be embarrassed. "She mentions me?" I asked Claire. "Don't look so proud." "She said it was about the time you set off the smoke alarm making toast." "Artisanal smoke. Black bread," Owen bold bread. Her father's mustache twitched. I chose to count it as a victory. For a while, it worked. We became a team in the way people do when they're lying under pressure. Improvising, catching each other's cues, building a relationship out of crumbs and old habits. Claire knew how I took coffee. I knew she hated mushrooms, but ate them if served because she had been raised to fear disappointing tableware. She brushed her knee against mine under the table, and every time my entire body remembered she was not actually mine. Then Ryan leaned back in his chair. "So how did it happen?" he asked. Claire stilled. "How did what happen?" Megan asked, delighted. Ryan's eyes stayed on Claire. "The romance, roommates to lovers, sounds like a movie." I felt Claire withdraw without moving. Her smile remained, but something behind it went careful. I hated him a little for knowing exactly where to press. I put my fork down slowly. Everyone looked at me. I turned toward Claire because if I was going to lie, I wanted at least part of it to be true. It happens slowly, I said. I noticed little things first. That she talks to plants like they're difficult coworkers. That she pretends she doesn't like the corner brownie even though she always reaches for it. That when she comes home from a hard shift, she checks on everyone else before herself. Claire's eyes widened, my pulse did something stupid, and then one day I continued quieter. I realized the best part of my day was hearing her key in the door. The table had gone silent. Claire was looking at me like I had taken the lie and turned it into something she didn't know how to hold. Maybe I had. Ryan's smile had disappeared. Mrs. Bennet dabbed at the corner of her eye. That is very sweet. It's also not how it happened, Claire said. My stomach dropped. Then she reached over and took my hand again, folding our fingers together on top of the table for everyone to see. He's leaving out the part where I fell first. My heart stopped behaving altogether. She looked at me, not at them, because he is ridiculous and kind. Because he buys the good coffee even when he says he can't tell the difference. Because he listens when people talk, actually listens. And because he makes me feel like I don't have to perform being okay. The lie had vanished from her voice, or maybe I had lost the ability to tell. Under the table, my knee touched hers. This time, neither of us moved away. After dinner, I escaped to the kitchen with a stack of plates and the desperate need to breathe. Claire followed me. The second the swinging door closed behind her, she whispered, "I am so sorry. I set the plates by the sink for making me your boyfriend without a formal application process." I panicked, I gathered. I saw Ryan, my mom was doing that face. Everyone was waiting for me to be embarrassed about being single. And then your hand was there and she pressed her fingers to her forehead. "I'm sorry." I turned to face her. The kitchen was warm, fragrant with garlic and lemon. From the dining room came muffled voices and Megan laughing too loudly at something. Claire looked smaller here away from the performance. Not weak. Never that, just tired of being measured. "I'm not mad, I said you should be. I'm a little curious about our anniversary." Despite herself, she smiled. "June, too vague, we deserve a holiday." Owen, I stepped closer, not enough to trap her enough that she had to tilt her chin up. "Claire, look at me," she did. My voice came out lower than I expected. I said those things because I meant them. Her smile faded. "I know tonight is pretend," I said. "I know why you said it, but what I said about you, that wasn't fake." For a moment she didn't breathe, then she whispered, "Mine wasn't either." The kitchen shrank around us. Her fingers were still curled at her temple. Slowly, I reached up and touched her wrist, giving her time to pull away. She didn't. I lowered her hand between us and she let me hold it. There was no audience now. No Ryan, no mother with bright eyes, just Claire and me beside the sink, holding hands like it was both a secret and an answer. "Your family thinks we're dating," I said. "Yes, your ex thinks we're dating." Unfortunately, I brushed my thumb over her knuckles. "What do you think?" Her gaze dropped to my mouth. It was quick, barely there. It ruined me. "I think," she said softly, "that if we talk about this here, I might do something unwise." Define unwise. The kitchen door swung open. Megan stood there holding an empty wine glass and wearing the expression of a woman who had just walked into chapter 1 of a scandalous novel. "Oh," she said, "sorry, I was looking for the cork crew, but I see you two are busy emotionally undressing each other." Claire yanked her hand from mine. "Megan, what?" "I'm supportive." Megan opened a drawer, found nothing, then pointed her glass at me. "For the record, Owen, I like you better than Ryan. He has yacht shoe energy." "I appreciate the endorsement," I said. Claire covered her face. Megan disappeared again, calling, "Mom wants dessert in 5. The door swung shut. Claire and I stared at each other, then we both laughed. Not polite dinner laughter, not nervous laughter. Real laughter that bent us toward each other until her shoulder bumped my chest and my hand found her waist without thinking. She looked up. The laughter faded. My palm was at the curve of her waist. Her hand rested lightly against my tie, the one she had fixed in our kitchen. "Oh, we should go back," she said. "Oh, we should." Neither of us moved. Then from the dining room, Ryan's voice carried clearly. "So does Owen know about Boston?" Claire went completely still beneath my hand. I didn't ask what Boston was. Not then. Because her face had gone pale and whatever waited in that room had already taken enough from the moment between us. I leaned closer, my mouth near her ear, and said, "We go back together." Claire swallowed. Then she looked at me, not helpless, not hiding, "Choosing together," she said. We walked back into the dining room holding hands. Not because the audience required it, because Claire reached for me first. That detail mattered. It mattered so much I forgot for half a second that Ryan had just dropped the word Boston like a match into dry grass. Claire's mother was standing beside the dessert tray, face pinched with curiosity. Megan had gone very still. Mr. Bennett looked annoyed in the way fathers do when they sense a conversation has left the road but don't know who's driving. Ryan smiled at me. I was just saying Claire never mentioned whether she told you about Boston. Claire's hand tightened. I kept my voice mild. She tells me things when she wants to. That landed better than I expected. Claire looked at me and some of the tension eased from her mouth. Ryan's smile thinned. Of course, her mother frowned. Claire, sweetheart, I thought Boston was settled. It is, Claire said. What's in Boston? I asked, because apparently I enjoyed walking into emotional traffic. A job, Claire said before anyone else could answer. A hospital. There offered me a position last year. Last year. We had been roommates last year. I remembered her pacing the balcony in December. Phone pressed to her ear. I remembered her saying it was nothing important when I asked. It was a great opportunity. Her mother said specialized pediatrics, better salary. Ryan had connections there too. Mom, Claire said. Ryan lifted his hands. I'm not saying anything. You rarely need to, she replied. I liked her so much in that moment it almost hurt. Mrs. Bennett set down the cake knife. We only wanted what was best for you. No, Claire said, quiet but clear. You wanted what looked best. The room froze. Claire's thumb moved against mine again, but this time it wasn't asking me to save her, it was anchoring herself. I didn't take Boston because I didn't want Boston, she said. I wanted my job here, my patients here, my life here. Her eyes flicked to me. My heart made one terrible, hopeful leap. And I was tired, she continued, of making decisions that sounded impressive to everyone except me. Nobody spoke. Then Megan raised her wine glass. Honestly iconic. Megan, her mother, hissed. What? She's right, Ryan stood. I think I should go. For once, nobody argued. There were awkward goodbyes, a stiff hug from Mrs. Bennett to Ryan, a handshake between Ryan and Mr. Bennett that looked like two men agreeing not to sue each other. Then Ryan paused near Claire. If you're happy, he said, I'm glad. Claire didn't flinch. I am. His eyes shifted to me. I didn't glare. I didn't puff up. I simply kept holding the hand of the woman who had chosen to stay. And somehow that felt like the most honest thing I'd done all night. After he left, dessert tasted mostly like silence and buttercream. We didn't stay long. At the door, Mrs. Bennett hugged Claire too tightly. I just worry about you. I know, Claire said. Her mother looked at me over Claire's shoulder. Take care of her. Claire pulled back before I could answer. Mom, I take care of myself. Then, after a beat, she glanced at me. He just makes it nicer. I had no defense against that. Outside, the air was cold and smelled like rain. We made it halfway down the walkway before Claire stopped under the porch light. I lied to you. She said you told them I was your boyfriend. We've established your relationship with accuracy is currently flexible. She didn't smile, so I stopped joking. Boston, she said. I should have told you, you didn't owe me that, I know. She wrapped her arms around herself but I wanted to, that was the problem. The porch light gilded her hair in the dark. Her green dress looked almost black, and her bare shoulders made me want to take off my jacket and also not be cliché about taking off my jacket. I did it anyway. She glanced at me as I draped it over her shoulders. Very boyfriend of you, I'm committed to the role. Owen, Claire. A car passed, headlights sweeping across us and then leaving. She looked down at the sleeves covering her hands. I didn't tell you because I was afraid you'd say I should go. I might have. I know you're annoyingly decent. I'm sorry for my burden. And if you said I should go, I would have had to pretend that didn't hurt. My chest tightened. She looked up at me then, and the vulnerability on her face was so naked, I almost looked away out of respect. I didn't want to leave our apartment, she said. I didn't want to leave morning coffee or your terrible architectural documentaries or the way you always save me the last cinnamon roll and pretend you forgot it existed. I do forget things. You remember grout samples from 2019. Important grout. Her laugh trembled, then faded. I didn't know what it meant, she whispered, wanting to stay because of you. I stepped closer. Do you know now? Her eyes searched mine. Do you? There it was. The edge we'd been walking since the kitchen, since the tie, maybe since the night she fell asleep on the couch with her feet in my lap, and I spent 20 minutes afraid to move. I know I didn't want to be your fake boyfriend tonight, I said. Her face fell a little. I caught her hand before she could retreat. I wanted to be your real one. Claire went still. Rain began, soft at first, ticking against the porch roof behind us. I've wanted that longer than is convenient, I admitted. I told myself it was friendship, then respect, then least preservation. That got the smallest smile. But tonight when you said I was your boyfriend, I didn't feel trapped. I swallowed. I felt chosen and I wanted it to be true. Her fingers curled around mine. You're not saying this because of Ryan, she asked. No, or because my family put us through emotional dodgeball. No, or because I look incredible in this dress. I looked her over before I could help it, slowly enough to make her cheeks warm. That, I said, is a contributing factor, not the thesis. She laughed and then she was closer, her hand at my chest, my jacket slipping off one shoulder. Owen, yeah, if you don't kiss me, I'm going to have to update my opinion of your courage. I had imagined kissing Claire in irresponsible detail. None of those imaginings included her parents' porch, rain, or the distant possibility of Megan watching from a window. It was still better. I touched her face first because I needed one last chance for either of us to stop. She didn't. She leaned into my palm, eyes half-lidded, and that tiny surrender undid me. Then I kissed her softly at first. Claire made a small sound, surprised, relieved, wanting, and stepped into me. Her hand slid up my thigh, pulling me closer. The kiss deepened, warm and sure. Years of not saying compressed into one breathless answer. When we broke apart, her forehead rested against mine. Well, she whispered, yeah, that complicates the lease. I'm willing to renegotiate terms, she smiled against my mouth. Addendum 1, more kissing, approved. Addendum 2, you admit the cinnamon roll thing. Never. She kissed me again, quick and bright like punctuation. Then the porch light flickered as the front door opened. Megan's voice floated out, I knew it. Mom, you owe me $20. Claire buried her face in my chest. I laughed so hard she had to hold on to me. For the first time all night, nothing felt fake. The drive home was 20 minutes, it took us 45. Not because of traffic, because Claire kept looking at me like I was a sentence she wanted to reread, and I kept missing turns. You just passed our street, she said, I'm aware. You're aware and continuing, I'm giving us time to process. You're lost, I'm architecturally exploring. She laughed, curled in the passenger seat with my jacket still around her shoulders, rain streaking the windows behind her. Her lipstick was a little blurred from kissing me on her parents' porch. I was trying very hard not to feel proud of that. At a red light, she reached across the console and took my hand. Such a simple thing, fingers lacing through mine, but it made the whole night shift from unbelievable to real. Are you panicking? She asked internally with structure and dignity. About us. I looked at her a little, her thumb brushed my knuckle. Me too, that should have scared me more. Instead, it made me feel like we were standing on the same ledge, looking down, laughing nervously, not quite ready to step back. When we finally got home, the apartment smelled faintly of cinnamon from the bakery below. Familiar, safe, different. Claire stood in the entryway in her green dress and my oversized jacket, while I hung up my keys with the exaggerated care of a man afraid sudden movements might end the spell. So she said, so we kissed, we did twice. 3 times if we count the one Megan interrupted. I am absolutely counting that, I fought for that kiss, I smiled. You did challenge my courage and you rose to the occasion. I'm glad my performance met expectations. Her eyes dropped to my mouth, exceeded, the air warmed. I took one step toward her, then stopped. Claire, yeah, I want to kiss you again. Her expression softened in a way that made the room tilt. But I said, because apparently I had chosen this exact moment to become responsible. We live together and I don't want tonight to turn into something we don't know how to handle tomorrow. She studied me. You're asking to slow down. I'm asking not to rush just because I finally know what you taste like. Her cheeks went pink. That was unfairly effective wording. I'm suffering too. Claire slipped my jacket off and hung it over the back of a chair. Then she walked toward me close enough that my heart started filing complaints. I don't want to rush either, she said. But I also don't want us to pretend this didn't happen because we're scared. No pretending, I said. Good. She lifted a hand and straightened my already straight tie just like before dinner. Only now her fingers lingered, sliding down the silk until they rested against my chest. Then here's my proposal, she said. Tomorrow you take me on a real date. I swallowed. A date, yes. No parents, no Ryan, no fake anniversary. Just you and me trying to be normal about the fact that we've been emotionally married for 6 months. Emotionally married. You bought me a humidifier when I had bronchitis and read the instruction manual. It had settings. You named my fern when I was sad. Fernando needed identity. And you once told a delivery guy I was asleep because I didn't want to answer the door. That's basically a vow. She smiled. See, I leaned down until our foreheads touched. Tomorrow, real date. Her breath caught, but she didn't pull away. And tonight I say goodnight like a gentleman. How disappointing, deeply tragic, even historic. She laughed softly, then rose on her toes and kissed my cheek. Not my mouth, my cheek. Somehow it was worse, more intimate almost. Tender in a way that promised patience. Good night, boyfriend, she whispered. I closed my eyes. You cannot just say that and walk away. But she did, smiling over her shoulder as she disappeared into her bedroom. I slept terribly. The next morning, I found her in the kitchen wearing flannel pajama pants, a tank top, and the expression of a woman who had been awake for a while thinking too much. Morning, I said. She handed me coffee. It was made exactly how I liked it. Morning, she said. We stood on opposite sides of the counter, both of us pretending not to notice that we were smiling like idiots. Then she said, I have concerns. I set down my mug. Okay. I don't want to become a story where we kiss, try dating, fail horribly, and then one of us has to move out and the other gets custody of the toaster. I would fight for the toaster. It browns evenly. I know. Her smile flickered, then faded. I'm serious, I know. I came around the counter but stopped a few feet away, letting her choose whether to close the distance. She did. I'm scared too, I said, but not of dating you. I'm scared of doing it badly. Of losing what we already have because I want more. Her gaze softened. And I do want more, I added. I'm not confused about that. Claire's fingers found the hem of my t-shirt. I want more too. There it was again. No performance, no fake label, a choice. I touched her waist lightly. Then we go carefully. Rules probably. She nodded gravely. No kissing during arguments just to win. That was on your list because you plan to use it. I'm charming under pressure. No pretending we're fine when we're not. I said. She nodded. No sacrificing the friendship to protect the romance. Meaning we still tell each other weird stuff. We still complain about dishes. We still sit on the couch in ugly socks. Your socks are ugly. Mine are whimsical. Your socks have raccoons eating pizza. Whimsical. She laughed and leaned into me, wrapping her arms around my middle. I held her. It was the first time all morning we were quiet, and it felt better than any plan. Her cheek rested against my chest. My hand moved over her back in slow circles. She fit against me with such alarming ease that I had to remind myself this was new, except it wasn't. Not really. That afternoon, I took her on our first date to the Saturday market by the river. It was ridiculous how nervous I was. I had seen this woman half asleep, feverish, furious at a broken vacuum, and once wearing a sheet mask that made her look like a haunted porcelain doll. Still, when she came out in jeans and a soft blue sweater, I forgot how pockets worked. She noticed architect face, structural appreciation of the sweater, among other things. She grinned. Good call back. We walked between stalls selling flowers, pottery, and tiny jars of honey. I bought her a paper cup of hot cider. She bought me a pin shaped like a disgruntled cat and said it matched my resting spreadsheet face. At a booth full of handmade jewelry, she tried on a thin silver bracelet. It looked delicate against her wrist. Pretty, I said. She put it back immediately. Too much. So I waited until she was distracted by a table of used books and bought it. When I fastened it around her wrist near the river, she stared at me. Oh, and first date tax. You can't buy me jewelry on a first date. I checked. No police. Her eyes shimmered with something dangerously close to tears. It's too sweet. Do you hate it? No. Then accept my illegal bracelet. She laughed, but her voice was soft. Thank you. Then she kissed me there in public beside the gray river and a man playing violin badly enough to make pigeons reconsider music. It wasn't a porch kiss. It wasn't urgent or startled. It was a first date kiss, chosen unhurried. Her hand slid into my coat. Mine cupped her jaw. The world narrowed to cider on her lips and the cold tip of her nose brushing mine when she smiled. I'm having a good date, she whispered. I'm a strong candidate for second date. Don't get cocky. I bought jewelry. I'm invested. She leaned her head on my shoulder as we watched the water. For the first time, I let myself imagine it openly. Claire at breakfast, Claire stealing blankets, Claire not as the almost I lived beside, but as the woman I got to love on purpose. Then her phone buzzed. She checked it and her smile faltered. My mom wants brunch tomorrow, she said. With you, with us. I waited. Claire looked at the bracelet, then at me. She says she wants to apologize. That could have been a new storm. Instead, Claire tucked herself closer under my arm. Do we go? I asked. She looked up at me. Only if you want to, not as cover. Not as a shield. I kissed her forehead. I'll go because I'm your boyfriend. Her smile returned slow and real. Real boyfriend, she said, the very inconvenient kind. The best kind, she said, and took my hand. Brunch at Claire's parents' house felt different in daylight, less like a courtroom, more like a place where people had once loved each other badly and were trying awkwardly to do better. Claire wore the bracelet I'd bought her at the market. I noticed because I had become the kind of man who noticed her wrist now, her hand in mine, her thumb brushing the silver band when she was nervous. The small smile she gave me when she caught me looking. Stop staring, she whispered as we walked up the porch steps. I'm admiring my illegal jewelry. You're admiring yourself for buying it. I contain multitudes. She laughed, and when her mother opened the docker, Claire didn't drop my hand. That mattered too. Mrs. Bennet looked smaller without the dinner party armor. No sharp smile, no perfect hostess glow, just a woman in a cream cardigan holding a mug of coffee with both hands. "Hi, sweetheart," she said. "Hi, Mom." Her eyes moved to me. "Owen, thank you for coming. Thanks for inviting me." There was a second where nobody knew what to do. Then Megan appeared behind her mother, wearing sunglasses indoors and holding a mimosa. "Oh good," she said, "the emotionally competent couple is here. Maybe they can teach the rest of us." Claire's father muttered, "It's too early for this, it is 11. Megan said, "Exactly." The tension broke. We ate kitchen fruit salad around the kitchen table. No Ryan, no performance. Just Claire sitting beside me, her knee occasionally bumping mine like a secret hello. Halfway through, Mrs. Bennet set down her fork. "Claire," she said, voice careful. "I owe you an apology." Claire went still. I kept my hand resting open on my thigh, not reaching for her unless she wanted me to. She did. Her fingers slipped into mine under the table. "Mrs. Bennett's eyes flicked down, saw it, and softened. "I pushed too hard," she said. "About Boston, about Ryan, about what I thought your life should look like. I told myself it was because I wanted you to be happy, but I think she swallowed. I think I wanted to stop worrying by arranging everything into a shape I understood." Claire's grip tightened. "I'm sorry," her mother said. "You are not difficult to love. I'm sorry if I ever made you feel that way." Claire looked down. For a moment, all I could hear was the clock on the wall and Megan sniffling aggressively into a napkin. Then Claire said, "Thank you." Her voice was thin but steady. "And for the record, Mrs. Bennet added, glancing at me, "I like this shape better." Megan lifted her glass to Owen's shape. "Megan," three people said at once. I nearly choked on orange juice. Claire leaned into my shoulder, shaking with silent laughter, and I kissed the top of her head because I could. Because she was mine in the way a person can be yours only when they keep choosing to stay. After brunch, her father cornered me in the backyard. I expected the shovel talk. Instead, he handed me a rake. "Leaves," he said. "Ah, manual labor," as interrogation. He gave me a look. "You always narrate only when afraid." His mouth twitched. We read in silence for 3 minutes before he said, "She seems happy." I looked that through the window. Claire was in the kitchen with her mother and Megan laughing at something. Sunlight catching on the bracelet at her wrist. "She makes me happy," I said. "That wasn't what I asked." "I know." He studied me, then nodded once. "Good answer." From inside, Claire looked out and caught me watching her. She smiled like she knew exactly where my heart had gone and had decided to keep it somewhere safe. I smiled back. A year after that night, we still lived above the bakery. For 6 months, we kept both bedrooms because we were cautious and mature, and also because Claire claimed my closet organization was a cry for help. Then one rainy weekend, we rearranged the whole apartment. Her plants moved into my room. My drafting table moved into hers. Our books mixed on the shelves with no regard for genre or emotional preparedness. We kept the second bedroom as an office, though Claire called it the room where your tiny building models go to feel important. I called it our West Wing. She called me insufferable. Then she kissed me against the door frame so I didn't file a complaint. By the following spring, we had our own rituals. Saturday market dates, when we bought cider and pretended not to judge the bad violinist. Movie nights where she stole the blanket and I let her because being right was less important than having her feet tucked under my leg. Coffee every morning, hers with too much oat milk. Mine exactly the way she made it before I remembered to ask. And once a month, dinner with her family where her mother no longer asked about 5-year plans and Megan still introduced me as the fake boyfriend who unionized. Ryan became a footnote. Boston became a word Claire could say without shrinking. And me, I stopped pretending that wanting more was the same as risking everything. One evening in June, almost exactly a year after Claire had invented our relationship in front of a roast chicken, I came home to find her on the balcony with Fernando the Fern, 2 glasses of wine, and a suspiciously nervous expression. "Should I be worried?" I asked. "That depends on whether you're still spiritually opposed to furniture." I looked past her. There, squeezed into the corner of our tiny balcony, was a small wooden bench. New, beautiful, exactly the kind I had once sketched on a napkin and forgotten about. "You made this?" I asked. "With help from your dad and 3 online tutorials narrated by men who fear emotion." I ran my hand over the smooth armrest. "Claire," she bit her lip. "I wanted us to have somewhere to sit outside together without using the folding chair that tries to murder guests." I turned toward her. The sun was setting behind the rooftops, turning the bakery windows gold. Her hair moved in the warm breeze. The bracelet still circled her wrist, bright against her skin. "You built us a bench," I said. "I did. That's very girlfriend of you." She stepped closer. "Good thing I got promoted, too." She pulled a key from her pocket. Not a new apartment key ours, but on the ring was a tiny metal charm shaped like a house. Too permanent, she said softly. If you want, my throat tightened. I thought about the night she'd stood in front of her family and called me her boyfriend before either of us was brave enough to say we wanted it. I thought about every almost that had led us here. Then I took the key ring, kissed her palm, and said, Claire Bennett, I have been permanent since the first time you stole my sweatshirt and blamed emotional cotton. Her eyes filled. You're ridiculous, she whispered. You're home, I said. She kissed me then, smiling and crying a little, her hands in my hair, my arms around her waist. Behind us, the city hummed. Below us, the bakery ovens warmed for morning. Beside us, Fernando leaned dramatically in the breeze. And on the little bench she built for us, we sat tangled together until the sky went dark. No longer pretending, no longer almost. Just two people who had accidentally told the truth before they knew how to say it. What would you have done if your roommate invited you to family dinner and then suddenly introduced you as their boyfriend? Have you ever experienced anything even close to that? Fake dating, surprise labels, or feelings for someone you lived with? Tell me your story in the comments. If you like this one, leave a like, subscribe, and I'll see you in the next.